Minister of Education, Adamu Adomu, has asked students to sue the Academic Staff Union of Universities over the prolonged strike. Good morning and welcome to the Dailies on Equa Television. I'm Owolabi Tosin and I'm doing this along with Sele Elisha. Good morning, Sele.
Morning, Tosin.
Morning. And also voting for the gubernatorial debate of Equa Television and the first of its kind on the plateau ends today by 5:59 p.m. Why not hurry and vote in your preferred candidate who you think has the mandate to rule Plateau? Thank you, Sele. Let's start up with the first paper, which is the Blueprint newspaper.
Yes, the first story on the Blueprint newspaper, Buhari to Sadia Umar Farouk ensure on impending return of the IDPs in the Northeast, and the rider following that say order security agents to eliminate insurgents, and troops clear notorious bandit camps, rescue 3, recover quite a number, and detail found on page 15. And I hope with this instruction that have been given to the minister here, something will be done to make sure that the Northeast is actually very safe, because we know it has been a soft spot for quite a number of years right now. So it's not just about telling those in the ITPs to go back there, even though most of the people living there prefer to go back to their homes because they tend to walk. Because if you look at some of the cases that have been happening in the IDPs, from looking at the domestic violence they are going through there, looking at violation, maltreatment, hunger, illness as a result of the weather and all that, you agree with me to say that sometimes these IDPs prefer to go back to their homes, to make homes for make a place more comfortable for themselves, go back to their family, no matter what it will take for them to be able to, work and get something to eat. So I just hope that it's not just an instruction, but that something will be done. And it's importantly also, if they are to go back to their various homes, we know that possibly they will be among the 7 million Nigerians that are yet to register for their permanent voters card, even though we know that the chairman gave his word that something will be done to make sure that their polling units that were being destroyed, they will rebuild it, and also so that they'll be able to vote. But we are yet to see if really this has been done, so that if they are going back, they'll go back to something, not just going back empty-handed. They have no family, they have nothing to go back to. So looking at the instruction the president has given, we just hope that, just like he said, they should clear the insurgent, clear every bandit tent that is over there. We hope that all will be done before these IDPs will be able to go back to their homes.
Yes, we know that Mr. President went to Borno State to go commission some projects and also look at the humanitarian affairs of the IDPs. And we know that aside this issue of IDPs going back to their ancestral home, we have issues where even in the IDP camp where the IDPs are not safe, those people who are supposed to take care of them molest them, children even die, parents die because of hunger and so many things. I give an instance where even in my community here where I stay, at times you see the women coming knocking on your door and say you should give them some menial jobs to do that, so that you'll be able to pay them or even give them first children. And the annoying thing is that even as we have these IDPs in different states, there's a fund, the amount of money that do come, allocations that come into the country just for these people. We see the United Nations even give out funds for the IDPs, but at the end of it, when you go to the IDP camp, it's nothing to write home about. There are no good buildings for them. They just live in tents. And again, you see that even they're supposed to learn some skills acquisitions, but nothing is being. They learn nothing there. We see children even in the IDP camps. They just play all day. They don't go to school. Nothing is done, and there's no way of even improving the lives of those people. If they return to their ancestral home, just like you said, what will they turn back to do? What do they return to do? But this is where we talk about the importance of this skill acquisition. If they learn some different kinds of skills, even at the IDP camps, it's easier for them when they go back to their homes. They can go engage themselves in all those things and even get some kind of income that they used to take care of themselves. But they just lived all their life. And when you look at people who stayed in IDP, some stayed there for 6-7 years like that, and they go back to home and become nothing because they learned nothing there, even at the IDP camps. So we keep seeing where funds are coming coming into our country. We see where people donate money, donate materials, donate clothes, different things for those people who were displaced of their properties. We just hope that if this money is going to them, then it should be used well for these people. Now we see when Mr. President is saying that they should return to their homes, and we just, if they return to their homes, that means it goes back to this issue of tackling the insecurity, because insecurity was the main cause why they had to leave their homes and go to the IDP camps. So we just hope that they'll treat this issue of insecurity finally, because we should not have stories where they return back to their homes and they have to go back again to the IDP camp because their homes are no longer safe any longer for them. The communities are taken by the terrorist group. So we just hope that it will be final. They will tackle this issue of insecurity even in those places, so that these people can return back home and be useful to themselves, be useful to their family, not just while spending all their life in the IDP camps, and at the end of it they learned nothing from those places, and it's not even beneficial to them and even for their family, because they have stories to tell, Sele. They have so many stories, ranging from those people who their children were molested by those who were supposed to take care of them, and even those people who their children lost their life, and even parents even lost their life as a result of the malaria and different infections even in those places. So it is good when Mr. President is saying they should return back, but before they return back, they should make sure that the necessary measures are being done for them to have a safe place back home.
Of course, and so that these bandits will not be able to trace them back. Because I remember an issue where they said even some of these terrorists do go to the IDP camp, to charge their phone and rechargeable lamp. And I was shocked to hear such a thing. I begin to wonder the people that are supposed to take care of them, where are they? But just like you said, we just hope that things will be safe for them. Still on the Blueprint newspaper, 6 months into the strike, this is concerning ASU. ASU adamant rejects mystery federal government new salary offer. The rider following that said Nasu Sanusi not ready to suspend strike. This is coming from the Minister of Education, Adamu. Buhari opposed to paying salaries for work not done, and federal government spent 6 trillion naira on education in 7 years. Now it's one thing for you to tell that you've spent this money. It's another thing for us to actually see it reflecting in the educational sector, because I believe that this money, are we going to say it's just limited to the tertiary institution, or is it plus the primary and the secondary school? Because if you go to some of our public primary and secondary schools, it's a pity for you, because the environment don't even look like an environment where a human being should sit and receive lectures. Yet we are having our public holders taking their kids outside the country and not seeing anything wrong with that. And even though the federal government are already saying that they are not going to pay ASU for being at home for the past 6 or 7 months right now that they have been on strike, but we just hope that they will really look into this issue. At the end of the day, we've said this, the students are the one at the receiving end, because some of even these lecturers are not just teaching in just one university. Some of them actually have dual jobs. They teach in the public and also teach in the private university, and at the end of the day, it's this student that do not have anywhere to go to. So we hope that these two big elephants, that is the federal government and also the ASU, will actually stoop low, sit down, have a reasonable conversation. If it is concerning their payment rule, they should look into it, because we are tired of hearing a committee will be set to look into the UTAS, whether it is conducive, not using the IPPIS, back and forth, and then it seems as if we're saying the same story over and over and over, and people are even getting tired of this entire issue. So we hope something will be done about this. Still on the Blueprint newspaper, trap fund Emirates to suspend Nigerians' flight from September, with detail found on page 23. Over 18,000 drug traffickers arrested, 12,000 rehabilitated in 18 months. This is coming from Marwa, with detail found on page 3. Downside of the paper, First Bank supporting research through education endowment. You can read more of that on page 18. And PDP Board of Trustees Chair Jibrin assures on Atiku Wike reconciliation. Other story here, we have Nasini to unveil the first-class transformer production plant in September. Detail found on page 24. And on subsidy, our role limited to tax enforcement collection. This is coming from the First Inland Revenue Service, telling the House of Reps. Oil prices fall below $95 per barrel amid fears of global recession. Striking environmental workers threaten to shut Abuja cemeteries. You can actually read more of that on page 14. We have 2 picture stories here, so do well to get a Blueprint newspaper and read any of the story that is of interest to you.
Yes, so just on the lighter notes, for this striking environmental workers threaten to shut Abuja cemeteries. I saw it on social media, and Nigerians with their usual way of making everything look very laughable. I saw someone posted this and said, even the dead cannot rest in. Even now, environmental workers are threatening to shut down cemeteries just because of payment and other allowances. But we need to look into all these things and look out for ways people who work receive some needs. And why will you work and those needs cannot be met? So we just hope that something will be done about this whole thing. Moving to the Daily Trust newspaper, Atiku and Wike's field, Ayu's refusal to step down stalls peace move. Federal government spends 18.4 billion naira on petrol subsidy daily. This is coming from the finance minister. 8 feared dead in Lagos church stampede. This is really sad, and we just need to look into ways the materials we use for buildings, because we've had details and issues where we stampede in different places and we see the way people are being killed even as a result of those stampedes. So we need to look out for the materials we use in building. It's not just to build a house, but look out for qualitative materials in building in building our houses or even churches, whatever it is, to avoid stories that hurt of such.
Sorry, before you move forward, I just want to add up, even as much as we're looking at the materials we used to build, I think we also have to look into the congestion of some of these things. I think this has been one of the cases we've been, hearing coming from, especially it's either you hear it coming from Lagos or, various parts of the country. And I think something needs to be done. It's not just about checking the environment, but it's also checking at the number of people that come into the church. What are the workers doing to make sure that the people coming to that church are actually right, and so that when there's an issue of whether they'll see there's a altar call or people are going out or a minister came in as a result of rushing, everybody wants to rush, and before we realize somebody is being stepped on, and then so I think something also needs to be done about that, because this is not story we want to be seen on the paper.
Yes, thank you very much, Sele. The big story says no end in sight as ASU federal government reveals to shift ground. This is still as a result of the prolonged ASU strike. Buhari insists no more, no work, no pay. Don't pay us and forget 2 sessions. This is coming from lecturers. And SAN says no law backing this policy. Holding us to ransom is unpatriotic, and this is from students. And also we saw where the federal government say they are ready to compensate the students. And I'll say compensate them in what way? Because it's really ambiguous to use this word in compensate, saying you want to compensate these people. We saw where the Minister of Education is saying that the students should sue ASU, that's Academic Staff Union, that they should sue them for this prolonged strike. And I'll say the issue have been between the federal government and ASU. What is the students are just waiting for time where this strike can be called off. If we are to sue anybody here, Sele, it depends on Nigerians know who they should sue. You're not supposed to put words into anybody's mouth. Coming from minister who have been quiet about this whole issue. The first time they had the issue of the meeting between the federal government and ASU, he walked out on them. And now he's saying that students should sue the ASU because of this prolonged strike. This is over to you, our viewers. We would like you to call when our phone lines are open concerning the statement made by the Minister of Education. NPA generates 172 billion naira in 6 months, remits 78.5 billion naira. Again, Buhari orders security agencies to eliminate insurgents. 3 arrested, 20 corpses recovered in Edo Shrine. And that's all on the Daily Trust newspaper.
And on the Nation newspaper, Lagos extend Okada ban to 4 more councils. Data found on page 30. The $480 million Paris Club reform. Our case against Malami by governors. Data found on page 28. An NPA generates 172.285 billion naira in 6 months, says the MD. And the PDP Board of Trustees chair, Jibril, cautioned Atiku and Wike camps. Here we are having the e-naira becomes dollars and of next week. Downside of the paper, we have federal government insists on no work, no pay rule for varsity workers, with the rider government has to differ on salary payment platform, students to sue teachers and ministers, with detail found on page 4. Government way option on petrol subsidy cash, with the rider daily payment hit 18.69 billion naira. Landing cost per litre now 448 naira. And Tinubu Shaitima ticket best for Nigeria now, says the PDP chairman. What transpired during Obasanjo and APC candidate parley? Downside, we have security. Tompolo wins multi-million-dollar pipeline contract. You can read more of that also on page 28. And that's all on the Nation newspaper.
Moving over to the Punch, we have trapped Forex. More airlines to suspend Nigerian operations. Federal government to end petrol subsidy in June 2023. And PFN saying why Muslim ticket is problematic for Nigeria. Take battle to terrorist hideout, Buhari orders the military. And Sean Rivers votes, lose polls, Wike wants PDP. The big story with the caption, endless borrowings, debt servicing gulp 13.17 trillion naira under Buhari, and education suffers. Federal government budget 4 trillion naira for education in 7 years. Sector loses 837 days to strike. Salary area stalling negotiation. This is from the federal government. And no pay, no resumption. This is from the Academic Staff Union of the Universities. Education underfunded. Federal government may borrow to fund sector. Economists are warning concerning this. Commuters groan, businesses shut as Sangota Road collapses, and really the road is not in a good condition, because on the front page of the Punch newspaper you can see the picture of the bad road at the Sango Ota, and it's really in a bad condition. We just hope that something will be done very fast on how this road can be repaired for smooth transportation even in these areas. Association films as Lagos extend ban on Okada. Lawless soldiers brutalize cops for seizing colleague's motorcycle. And police uncover shrine with 20 corpses. Suspect kick. Details can be found in page 5, and that's all on the Punch newspaper.
And on the Friday Leadership newspaper, President Muhammadu Buhari gives hope to children orphaned by insurgency. And the federal government claims it spent 18 billion naira on fuel subsidy daily, with detail found on page 30. We have what is trending. Federal government offer is miserable, ASU laments, and Nigeria to lose over 3 billion naira daily as electricity worker down tools. The big story on the Friday leadership paper, we have suspend in PDP as Atiku Wike camps meet today, with the rider party members worried over delay in constitution of campaign council. Board of Trustees warns party leaders against unguarded utterances. We're ready for truth, says Wike loyally. So you can keep your fingers crossed. We know the issue on the PDP internal crisis. We hope all will be resolved so that the election will go properly. ASU insisted on 6-month salary study negotiation. This is coming from the federal government. Other stories still on the Friday leadership. Troops clear house loaded with bomb materials in Kaduna, with detail found on page 14. Report on vessel evading arrest. Pirate attack false alarm. This is coming from Navy. And Trafford, Emirates suspend flight to Nigeria indefinitely, with detail found on page 20. And we're having the last story I'll be taking. Police bus ritualist shrine recovered 20 mummified bodies in Edo. Detail found on page 7. And that's on the Friday leadership newspaper.
And on this day newspaper, we have Buhari eliminating malaria by 2030 will save Nigeria from 2 trillion naira. Dangote inaugurates as chairman of council to eradicate scourge. We have also the federal government ASU meeting, which ended in deadlock, and also the discourse alert on nationwide blackouts, and also how the government have talked to them and they've given 2 weeks to suspend the strike. In news of our law, terrorist informants, kidnappers face death penalty. And that's all on this day newspaper.
Okay, let's move further to Nigerian Tribune. Northern governors destroying primary nomadic education, federal government alleges, says Jonathan 15 billion naira Almajiri school initiative defective. You can read more of that on page 4. What transpired at Tinubu's meeting? This is coming from the speaker, Bajabia Miller. You can read more of that on page 29. And coming from CBN, Naira, Nigerians to start using USSD code for transaction next week. This is coming from Emifele. Lagos government ban Okada operations in 4 additional local governments, 6 LCDAs from September 1st. And court fixed October 12th will hear an alleged certificate forgery case against Tinubu, APC, and INEC. So you can actually keep your fingers crossed concerning this story. The big story on the Nigerian Tribune, ASU members won't be paid for strike period. This is coming from the federal government. Says 5 unions to cut off strike by next week. UTAS, U3PS, or outscore the IPPIS in the integrity test. Suggest student can sue ASU for compensation. And ASU reject federal government new salary offer, says it's misery. You can read more of that on page 2. Downside, we have Ogun record 4 new cases of monkeypox. You can read more of that too on page 30. And reps forth the 18.37 billion naira daily subsidy payments. We are carrying 283 naira per litre for the PMS subsidy. This is coming from the finance minister. And Wike gives fresh condition to get votes from Rivers. So you want to know what the conditions that were given by the Rivers State Governor, you can look that up on page 5. And the picture story here, we can see the President, the Governor of Borno, and also the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, while during the integration of the projects and the flag off of distribution of humanitarian items to mark the World Humanitarian Day in Maiduguri, Borno State yesterday, where I hope all the materials that were being launched will reach those who need it. And that's all on the paper.
On the New Telegraph, CBN financial transaction via e-Naira hits the 4 billion naira as currency record 840,000 downloads. IATA blasts Nigeria as trapped fund hits $464 million. Airlines mall action over fund as Emirates quits Nigeria September 1st. 9 countries sign maritime bank charter. For Okada, Lagos extend ban to 4 more local governments, 5 LCDAs from September, offers livelihood support for willing riders. And also the story we have here concerning the ban, the governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu led Lagos State government has extended the ban on commercial motorcycle Okada to 4 more local government areas and 6 local council development area. The Lagos State governor on Thursday directed full enforcement from September 1st, 2022. The council affected by the Okada ban include Kosofe local government, Oshodi Solo local government, Shomolu local government, and Mushin local government. Others are Ikosi Isheri LCDA, Aboyi Ketu LCDA, Isolo LCDA, Bariga LCDA, and Odiolowo LCDA. The Lagos State governor on Thursday directed the full enforcement, and also the government said they have decided in line with the State Transport Sector Reform Law of 2018. He further stated that the decision will address the chaos and menace created by the operations of Okada in these listed areas. And I will say, this is not the first time we saw where Lagos State government banned the movement of tricycle riders in Lagos State, and we saw where they banned it in some local governments and LCDAs, and now it has extended to 5 more local governments and LCDAs, and now we see that there's an alternative for those who will stop this. That's the right, there's motorcyclists, those who ride motorcycle for making ends meet even in Lagos State. Now we see an alternative is being provided to them. We saw where the governor launched some vehicles for transportation, because if you are going to stop one means of transportation, there should be another provision for people to be able to use in place of the Okada that is being banned in such state. And we see where provisions are made for those who are interested to apply for another means of transportation. And we say it is really good because we've seen what this issue of Okada riders, what they've cost in the country entirely. In Lagos State, we can't mention the number of menas they've cost in Lagos. We saw where people even die as a result of the lynching by Okada riders. And we say even in some states, we see even on the plateau, Okada have been banned totally, but we see some communities where they use Okada to go into. But we say if we're banning this Okada, then there should be a way where there should be another provision for another opportunity for people, because even amongst these Okada riders, we have graduates among them, and they just use this to make ends meet. We have people who are sensible, we have people who are reasonable people, we have family people even amongst these people. So we just looked at that. If you are banning one means of transportation, make an alternative means for people, so that people will not just be idle. We know that an idle mind is the devil's workshop. That's where so many thoughts start coming into their mind, and they try to just do things that are not helpful, and later on when they're apprehended, they say it is the devil's work, and we know everything narrows down to the devil. So we just hope that if we're banning this to see that we return sanity in a state, then we should have an alternative means to provide for these people, so that they will not just be idle totally. And I will say it's really good what the governor of Lagos State is doing. Still on the New Telegraph, soldiers clear notorious bandit camp in Kaduna Forest, rescue 3 kidnapped persons along the Zaria-Kano road. And this is really good and a good development in Kaduna State, and we say more should be done on how notorious bandit camp can be destroyed, and these people should be brought to book. FMC resident doctors begins 2-week warning strike as NLC demands prompt release of activist Effiong. Federal government to spend 6.71 trillion naira on fuel subsidy in 2023, calculated at 15 naira per litre, says payment stood at 1.33 trillion naira in 2020 budget and 1.5 trillion naira in 2021 fiscal year. Buhari to security agents, take fight to criminals, ensure total elimination, direct humanitarian ministry to ensure unimpeded return of the IDPs. For 2023, Atiku Wike will yell ownership, saying some northern states mismanaging pay education. This is coming from the federal government, and it's really bad. We see some states where they don't even take education very seriously, and now we see where the governors met concerning the issue of insecurity and on how to grow the economy, and we saw that education was part of the agenda they discussed. We need to look out for ways we can fund education, and we can see the way we can encourage people to enroll their kids and even their wards in education. So like most of those people were part of those who benefited from the free education. Then why are you making it life unbearable for people now? Why are you making it that education now has become just for the rich now? Because now it's obvious that it's only private university that is operating, and those universities that are out of this ASU that are the ones operating. What happened to the federal and the state university? What happened to those at the secondary school level? We see children roaming around the street, hawking, doing several things, but education is out of their mind. So we need to encourage people on the importance of education, and this starts from each state. And we see where we're talking about some states that are mismanaging the education fund that is being given to them. We need to encourage this. We need to encourage people to enroll their wards in education. This starts with the free education. Free education is very important, because if you benefited from it, then it should go out to people. Free education without teachers. So teachers, infrastructures are very important even while we have this free education. We just hope that the outcome of this meeting will be positive, and we'll see where governors will take this back to their states and implement it very good in the state level. For the strike, we rejected federal government offer for treating us without respect. This is from ASU, saying government take it or leave it, bid on sheet of paper provocative. Buhari insistent on no work, no pay, prolonging strike, says the minister, and asks aggrieved students to sue the union. says President spent 6 trillion naira on education in 7 years. Nance to sue federal government and education minister, and the strike is unnecessary and avoidable. This is from the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria. Details can be found in page 2, 4, and 8 of the New Telegraph. The last story, we have a study which says rainwater unsafe to drinking, and this is very important because most people are guilty of this, and most people don't even know that rainwater is unsafe for drinking. And we see it now that it's the rainy season. You see people putting buckets just to trap this water, to save it for drinking. So going to our audience now, please try to use this water for a different thing entirely, but it is unsafe for you to consume because we have all these outbreaks. We need to be conscious of our health. We need to be conscious of things we consume, and especially water. We see this issue of this typhoid, cholera, the outbreak. So we need to be careful with the water, the vegetables we eat. And now we see the study that rainwater is really unsafe for people to drink. So we need to be conscious of this. And when you see anyone taking this, you try to kick against it. That's all on the New Telegraph paper. But Sele, before you continue, I'd like us to take this moment to go on a timeout. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back, and thanks for staying tuned on the Dailies on Equa Television. Our phone lines are open. Do well to call us on stories that interest you, and also drop your comment on our official Facebook and YouTube pages. We will take them real time on the program. So let's continue with other papers.
Yes, and the next paper I'll be reading is the Guardian newspaper. We won't pay you for strike period, federal government tells ASU. Same fate ticket may jeopardize the peaceful coexisting United Nations, says the PFN, the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria. 5G to generate $7 trillion by 2030 as Mopita sees the tech drive Nigeria. And MPA generates 172.285 billion naira revenue in the first half of 2022 and remits 78.496 billion naira. You can read more of that business story on page 21. The big story here says expert tax Buhari and governors on how to rescue the island economy. Inflation rate ballooned by 170% under Buhari in 7 years. Why government must embark on urgent sweeping reforms, and the president, governors must agree on the PMS subsidy removal timelines. Focus more on agri sector insecurity to stem food inflation, federal government has told. And let me read a little for that. It says a high-level meeting of the 36 state governors with President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday primed to draw out some far-reached and drastic measures to tackle the economic hardship that has afflicted Nigerians under this administration turned out to be an anti-climax, while the president was absent at the meeting, which held at the State House banquet hall of the presidential villa in Abuja. The governors in attendance set aside deliberations on the 33 ideas they earlier suggested for the president to implement in salvaging the nation's economy, to rather respond to the Attorney General of Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malemi over the controversy trading the proposed deduction of the Millions Party Club refund from the Federation's accounts, where you can read more of that on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. How Nigerian universities can become incubator of talent. You can read that big story on pages 4 and 5. ISWAP terrorists kidnapped 6 Borno farmers. This is a sad one. Will resolve Atiku Wike Field Board of Trustee Chairman assures. You can read more of that too inside the Guardian newspaper. And that's all of the Guardian newspaper.
On the Voice of Liberty, reps fault 18.37 billion naira daily subsidy payment, 448 per litres PMS landing cost in 2022 and 2023. Differ on computation of 6.79 trillion naira fuel subsidy. For 2023, Obasanjo insists on power shifts to the south, knocks PDP over choice of Atiku. And we will say it's an outcome of the meeting that he had with the aspirant of the presidential aspirant of APC, that's Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We will say is as an outcome of the meeting they had. Now he's talking about insisting on the power shift to the south and knocking PDP over choice of Atiku. We'll just keep our fingers crossed on this story. And on minimum wage, I will not sack 11,790 unqualified teachers in Borno. This is coming from Governor Babagana Zulum. Insurgency, take fight to terrorist hideout. Buhari orders security agencies. We have Mr. Sam from Abuja. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please go on with your contribution.
Yeah, God bless you all. God bless you. I love for you. So I want to comment on the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, who is saying that artists strike for necessary. Honestly, I agree with him. Because if we watch all the strikes and the other agitations of artists in the year 1999, the democratic era, what result has this year strike again? Look at most of the graduates that they are turning out, that Nigerian universities are turning out. Most of them are being half-baked. One of the days, I went with my children for vaccination. The graduate is asking my 3-year-old child to spell his name. He cannot spell my son's name. So, I don't know where we are getting to. Right. So, let us go for the sake of God, all of the strikes, and let students go back to the school. Because even if they decide to be teaching what teacher meant, everything, then
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Samuel, for that contribution. President Muhammadu Buhari, for the uptenth time, has directed the security agencies to take the light against insurgency to the hideout of the criminal element and ensure they are completely eliminated. Still on insecurity, Lagos under partial lockdown. This is from the police commissioner. And Kaduna State insecurity, group commend troops for clearing terrorist hideout in Birnin Gwari forest. Agui Ironsi, not Buhari, started same religion leadership in Nigeria. This is Murik tackling Bishop Matthew Kuka concerning the Muslim ticket. Northern governors destroying primary and nomadic education. Federal government alleges, says Jonathan 15 billion naira Almajiri school initiative is effective. And thank God we get to know that school is very important, and also Jonathan's 15 billion naira Almajiri school initial is effective. Or we'll see that if you go to those schools, you see that it is dilapidated. Nobody is using those structure any longer. If we have all the schools, if we have all the structures in different states, it should be used, because education is very important, and education is the bedrock of the society. We should groom people on the importance of education. We should groom people, because there are so many things people are ignorant of, and education is the thing that brings them to this limelight. So we need to look out for ways this education can be prioritized, and people should go to school, especially children. We should avoid this issue where we see children hawking on the street. We should avoid this issue where children are being used as agents for different kind of of things that are not beneficial to themselves and even to the society. So education is important, and just like I said, I just hope that the state governors will take this back to their states and work effectively on it. That's all on the Voice of Liberty.
Yeah, Tosi, I don't know. When I saw that that story of the Marjories, I don't know if it's the paper that made the mistake or truly that was what was being said when it said ineffective. Because it was, okay.
We have Mr. Sam from Bari. Good morning. Hello, Mr. Sam.
I want to be also federal government field. We should be able to act maturely. We are no longer finding it easy for our children being at home. You know?
Yes, we can hear you. Go on.
Yeah, we are not finding it easy that our children are at home while university remain locked. The government has done this because their own children are in a foreign university. Assuming all their own children are also at home, they will also feel the talk to see how they can resolve this matter. The issue is even made painful when you realize that our federal government is denoting money for other states. Okay. So we beg them to be able to see reason and see how they can resolve this matter with ASU. Because the children cannot continue. They should be able to think of that the education of our children and future. Everybody cannot just be staying at home like this. Why we just something that's not related to how we. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samuel. So let's go on with your contribution.
Yes, so I was saying that just like you were talking about the issue of education being important, and the Voice of Liberty here is saying that Marjorie School initiative ineffective. Well, I do not know what they mean by ineffective, because we know how important that Marjorie School really did to lift most of these Marjories off the street and give them a life of their own. So I do not know what the present administration is thinking about that, but I think that initiative was actually right, because people commended their initiative, even though we do not know the main brain behind the reason why he did that. But vividly to say, it already looked like it was actually to lift up the children off the street and those that are still living on the street. So I hope that we'll look into that initiative and also give them a life of their own.
Yeah.
Well, let me move to the next paper too, which is the Daily Independent. Atiku Wike Field the Board of Trustees urges PDP to concentrate on winning the 2023 election. The party constitutes caretaker committee for Osun State chapter. You read more of that inside the paper. While we reduce maintain of the Naira, this is coming from the CBN. You can read more the reason behind that. The big story here says foreign airlines get around $600 million blocked fund crisis. The rider Florida story results to paying service providers in Naira. Nigeria's image on the line, aviation stakeholders. Then we have Free Emirate Airlines for suspension of operation. Other stories still on Daily Independent. Lagos extend the Okada ban to 4 more local government and 5 LCDAs. Bayelsa record 13 cases of monkeypox. Detail found on page 6. Edo police uncover ritualist den with 20 modified bodies. And on Osun Guber, court strikes out suit seeking to disqualify Adeleke. And the Muslim ticket best option for Nigeria now. This is coming from the APC chairman. We will pay ASU members for period of strike. This is coming from the federal government. Reject ASU. Utah says it can't be adopted. Why Tuesday meetings ended in deadlock. This is coming from ASU. You can read more of that on page 7. The last story, which is on the downside of the paper, again, Tinubu hold closed door meeting with APC governors. You can read more of that on page 29. And that's all on the Daily Independent.
On Osun Defender, Osun INEC Commissioner ends 5-year tenure. And also, the big story says Adeleke yet to be served court process. Government elect G3 trying to frustrate the process. This is from the senior advocate Adegoke. Oyetola's case dead on arrival. This is from Alimi. And details can be found in page 6 of the Osun Defender. Arabeshola bags Best Minister of the Year award. And Ede killing grieving mother, husband accuses Osha minority leader of complicity. Criminal elements infiltrated commercial transport operators. Osun government raises the alarm. And we just hope that since they are raising this alarm, something needs to be done, because our transportation sector, we should not have anything that will affect the transportation sector again now in Osun State. Proposed local government election sparks altercations in Osun. And we have Nimet saying Osun likely to have normal and abnormal rainfall. This is from Limit, and that rounds up the story on Osun Defender.
On First News, we have federal government spend 18.39 billion naira daily on petrol subsidy. This is coming from the finance minister. And the PDP Board of Trustees to the members, Atiku Wike will reconcile, don't create bad blood. And other stories here, we have court strikes out suit seeking Adeleke candidacy nullification. Nasarawa Information Commissioner adopters slash ransom to 20 million. If you've been following the story earlier on, they asked for 50 million naira. Right now, they have slashed the money down to 20 million naira. We hope that he will be reunited with his family very soon. And on blasphemy, appeal court orders retrial of Kanu singer sentenced to death. And other stories here, NDLEA arrests 18,940 traffickers in 18 months. Nnamdi Kanu not Ozodinma stopped the seed at home in the southeast. This is coming from the IPOP. And police uncovers ritualist den with 20 modified cops in Edo, arrest 3. $85 million blocked from Emirates suspend flights to Nigeria. The big story here, stalemate. We won't pay ASU 6-month strike salary backlog. This is coming from the federal government. They say no work, no pay policy, only condition delaying truce with the striking lecturers. This is coming from the education minister. Urges students to drag the union to court. Will sue federal government and Adomu. This is coming from the National Association of Students. And why our meeting with federal government ended in deadlock. This is coming from ASU. Says the federal government claim of purity of revenue for misery or for unattainable. Other stories still on the paper. On 2023, Adomu, the Persecution Fellowship of Nigeria, disagree over the Muslim ticket. It's best option for Nigeria, says the APC chairman. No, it will undermine Nigerians' unity. This is coming from the Christian body. And Tinubu and Obasanjo meeting confirmation. APC will win the 2023 presidential poll. This is coming from Bajabi Amida. And Bodejot blasts Tinubu, says everything about you is bundle of lies. So you can read more of that on the First News. That's all on the First News.
And for the Nature News, strike environmental workers threaten to shut down Abuja cemeteries. Still on the Nature News, we have Oshibanjo chairs Clean Nigeria Steering Committee to end open defecation in Nigeria. Agency hands over 73 seized parrot to Conservation Foundation for Rehabilitation and Reintegration. Gombe Yobe farmers get 82.4 million naira loan from USAID. And meet Mustafa Gajibo, the first producer of electric vehicles in Nigeria. Soludo begins renewal of Opoko slum with 9 billion naira road project. Cambodian minister calls on people to buy electric vehicles. That means we need to patronize our own ourselves as we do things to foster unity and as we do things to grow and even develop ourselves and even the nation. We have the last story on 2022 Judicial Games. CGN unveils trophy in Kogi. Details can be found in page 13, and I would like you to run through the last story, Sele.
Okay, the last story, which is on Nigerian News Direct. 2023 Tinubu in closed-door meeting with Obasanjo, and the IGP honors SP Daniel for rejecting the 200,000 naira bribe. We have federal government 70% broadband penetration target by 2025 achievable. This is coming from MTN. We have other stories actually flying on the front page of the Nigerian News Direct, so you can do well to grab the paper and read any story that is of interest to you.
Thank you very much, Sele, for doing this with me, and thank you very much for your call and also for being part of the show this morning. Have a blessed weekend and ensure that you rest, because rest is very important. See you on Monday, where we bring you first package on the dailies on Equa Television. Bye for now.